Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our virtual classroom today. So, if you remember this from not last week, but last Monday, we talked about how to use a coordinate plane. And on the coordinate plane, we talked about the different parts. So, if you remember, we showed the grid. You notice this one is a little bit bigger. So this is a longer grid. We showed talked about where the x-axis is. We talked about where the y-axis is. We talked about the origin. And we also talked about how to find the coordinates and how to plot them. So if you don't remember, I'm going to show you again. So when you are reading coordinates or writing coordinates, the numbers on the x-axis are first and the numbers on the y-axis are last. If you don't remember, the x is the location on the x-axis. So when you think of that, think about where is it on the x line. And the y is the location on the y-axis. Where is it on the y-axis? Okay, so last time we were here, we talked about how to use a coordinate plane to find the location of an object. But what we're going to do today is a little different. You can also use a coordinate plane to also graph and show measurements. So that's what we're going to do with this today. So today, we are going to use our graph to measure and show the growth of an iguana. That's what we're going to do today. Okay, so probably wondering how we're going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you. So, here we go. What we have right here is the growth of this shows you the measure by year, and it also shows you the length. Now the length is going to be in inches. Okay, so this shows you year zero, how long the iguana is. This shows you the length in the first year. This shows you the length in the second year. This shows you the length in the third year, fourth, fifth, sixth, going all the way to the 10th year. Okay. So this is a year, and this is the length that it grows each year. So by the end of each year, this is how long it grows in inches. Okay, so let's go back to our graph because we are going to plot these on our graph. How we're going to do that first? Let's go back to our x-axis. So remember what our x-axis is. Our x-axis goes horizontal. We're going to use our x-axis to represent the years after their birth. So everything on our x-axis is going to represent the years. So this is the years, okay? This is year 0, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, going all the way up to year 10. And the y-axis is going to represent the length in inches. So from the bottom to the top, that represents the inches, okay? You see it starts from 0, goes all the way up to 23 inches, okay? So one more time. The x-axis represents the years after the iguana is born, and the y-axis represents its length in inches, okay? So here's what we're going to do. First thing we're going to do is we're going to turn the year and the length into coordinates. How we're going to do that? Between the x-axis and the y-axis, which one represents the years? Since the x-axis represents the years, this is going to be our x. And which one represents the inches? The y-axis represents the inches. So everything in this column is for y. So everything in this column is going to go on the x-axis. Everything on this column is going to go on the y-axis. Okay, let me fix that. Okay, So let's go ahead. So let's start with year 0. 0 is an x-axis. Matter of fact, help us out. Which when we're making coordinates, which one goes first, X or Y? X goes first. So we're going to put the X here, and Y goes second. Okay. Okay. So for year 0, year 0 was an X. So write a 0. And what's going to represent Y? 2. So that means that in year 0, this iguana will be 2 inches. Okay. What about year 1? Year 1 is X. So year 1 is X. In year 1, how big will it be in the first year? It will be 7 inches. So 7 is going to go in our Y coordinates. So this is 1 and 7. Let's go to year 2. Let's mark year 2. In year 2, what will be the length? How long will it be in year 2? By year 2, it will be 11 inches. So the coordinates. Okay, let's look at year 3. How long will it grow in year 3? It will grow 16 inches. So that's the coordinates for year 3. What about year 4? How long will it grow in year 4? It will grow 17 inches. So that's the coordinates for year 4. What about year 5? How long will it grow in year 5? It will grow 19 inches. So that's the coordinates for year 5. What about year 6? For year 6, let's put in, that's our X coordinate. How long will it grow? It will grow 20 inches in the 6th year. Let's go to year 7. How long will it grow in year 7? It will grow 21 inches. So that's for year 7. What about year 8? Let's make a coordinate for year 8. How long will it grow in year 8? Year 8, 21 inches. What about for year 9? In year 9, how long will it grow? 21 inches. So it will be 21 inches in year 9. What about year 10? What will it be in year 10? In year 10, 21 inches. Okay. So this coordinate represents year 0. This represents year 1. This represents how tall it will be in year 2. This represents how tall it will be in year 3. This represents how tall it will be in year 4. This represents how tall it will be in year 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to 10, to the 10th year. Okay. So we are going to take the years and the length, and we are going to plot it on the graph. And how we're going to use that? Since we made the coordinates for each year, we're going to use the coordinates to show how big the iguana grows every year. Okay, so now we're going to put it on the graph. Okay, so let's look at year 0. What's the coordinates for year 0? It's going to grow 2 inches in year 0. So, once again, this is 0 and 2, 0 and 2. So for 0 and 2, which one is which one is X? Since 0 is an X, we're going to put it right here. Now, what's the Y coordinates for 0 and 2? The Y coordinates is 2, so we're going to move it up 1, 2. So now we've got this one out the way. Let's put it in check. So this represents year 0. Let's go to year 1. What's the X coordinate for year 1? X coordinate is 1. So we're going to put this here on 1. What is the Y coordinate? The y coordinate is 7. So where we're going to move it up to, we're going to go back to this one, and we're going to move it all the way up to 7. So this represents 1 in 7. Now let's go to year 2. Year 2, what's the x coordinate? X coordinate is 2. So let's put this one on number 2. Let's go back. What is the y coordinate? How tall is it going to grow? Y coordinate says 11. So where we're going to move this one to? We're going to move it up until we get all the way to number 11. There we go. Okay. Now, this is done. Let's go to year 3. In the 3rd year, what is the x? X-axis is on 3. So let's put one on 3. And what's the y-axis? How tall is it going to be in the 3rd year? It's going to be 16 inches. So let's move it all the way up. Where we're going to move it up to, we're going to move it up until we get to 16. There we go. Okay. Let's go to year 4. In year 4, where's the x-axis? It's on the 4. So let's put this one on 4. Okay, now let's go back. Well, year 4, how many inches did it grow? Where's the y-axis? The y-axis is 17. So where we're going to move this one up to? We're going to move it all the way up to 17. Okay, now let's go to year 5, 5th year. In year 5, where is the x-axis? X-axis is on 5, so we're going to put it here on the 5. Okay, now where is the y-axis? How tall will it be? 19. So where we're going to move this one up to? We're going to move it all the way up to 19. Okay. So before we go on to the next, let's see what we got so far. So does everybody see how we're graphing it out? This shows the height, and this shows how long it will be in year 0. This shows how long it will be in year 1. This shows how long in year 2. This shows how long in year 3, year 4, and year 5. So does everybody notice a pattern? What is it doing? You notice it's kind of rising. So it's showing you how the inches for every year. Year 0, year 1 is, year 2 is doing, year 4, year 5, and year 6. And as these go up, what is it showing you? It's showing you that every year is growing. So for the increases you see, this represents the growth of the iguana. And this represents how much is growing each year. Okay, let's go to year 6. Year 6, what's the x-axis? X-axis is 6. So we're going to put one on year 6. And where's the y-axis? How tall will it be? It's 20. So where are we going to move this up on the y-axis? We're going to move this all the way up to 20. Everybody see where 20 is. There we go. Okay. Now let's go to year 7. Year 7, where's the x-axis? It's on 7. So put it on the 7. And where is the y-axis? How long is it going to be? 21. So we're going to move this one all the way up to what? We're going to move it up to 21. Okay, now let's go to year 8. Year 8, where's the x-axis at? It's at 8. So we're going to put 1 on 8. Okay, and look at where the y-axis is. How long would it be? 21. So we're going to move this one up to what? We're going to move it up to 21. Okay, we got 2 more. Now we got to go to year 9. We got to put year 9 on the plane. Okay, where's on the year 9? Where's the x-axis at? It's on the 9. So guess what? Let's put 1 on the 9. And where is the y-axis? How many inches long? It's 21 inches. So we're going to take this one and move it all the way up to what? Move it all the way up to 21. And now we got our last one. Year 10. In year 10, where's the x-axis? It's on year 10. So we're going to put this one on year 10. Okay. And how long? Or where on the y-axis? How many inches long? It says 21. So guess what we're going to move it up to? We're going to move it all the way up to 21 inches. And we are finished putting all of these plots. Okay. So now let's take a look at our diagram, or I'm not diagram, our coordinate plane, our graph. This shows year 0, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7, year 8, year 9, year 10. Will you notice when you look at this graph? Let's take a good look. Okay, so now I want to answer. We're going to use this graph because there's a couple of questions we're going to ask. So let's look at our first question. How long do you think an average iguana gets? Okay. How long do you think an average iguana gets? How are we going to figure this out? How long do you think an average iguana gets? Okay, so let's go back and use our chart. How are we going to figure this out? Okay. So how long does it get? I want everybody to look at this graph. Let's look at year 0. Back before we even discuss it, I want everybody to take a look and take a guess. What do you think the average length is going to be? I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so everybody can see the years and then see. Okay. So I know we can't see the numbers up, so we're going to go up a little further. Okay. So in year 1, means year 0, it's 2 inches. Let's see what we see. For year 1, it's 7 inches. For year 2, it's 11 inches. For year 3, it's 16 inches. For year 4, 17 inches, still growing. Year 5, it's 19 inches, still growing. For year 6, it's 20 inches, growing a little bit. Year 7, now it's 21. Look at year 8. Wait a minute. What do you notice about year 8? It's not growing anymore. Let's look at year 9. Year 9. Is it still growing? Nope. It's still at 21 inches. Let's look at year 10. So it's still at 21. So what we notice when we look at this graph, year 0 starts from 2 and it goes up during the first year, still growing a lot at the second year, still growing a lot at the third year. When you get to the 4th year, still growing a little bit. And once you get to the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 6th year, it slows down. But then when you notice when it gets to the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th year, it does what? It stops moving. So what does that tell us? That tells us that since the curve is flattening and it's not going up anymore, it's telling us to stop, that it's stopping right at this area. So this lets us know that since it's getting flat and every year is still the same, that lets us know that what? It lets us know it's not growing anymore. And it stops growing at what? Let's see where the line stops at. Stops at 21. So that lets us know what? That lets us know the iguana stops growing when it's about 21 inches. So we're going to have to take a guess, or this lets us know that the average iguana gets about 21 inches. So let's write 21 inches. So how long do you think an average iguana gets? 21 inches. Now let's go to the second question. At what age do iguana reach their full length? Okay, what age do iguanas reach their full length? So let's go back. We said that they're going to reach their full length at about 21 inches. But we need to see what age do they start, okay? Or what age do they stop? Okay, so let's go back. Look at the whole graph. So, year 0 is 2 inches. Year 1 is 7 inches. Year 1 is 7 inches. Year 2 is 11 inches. Let's look at year 3. Year 3 stops at 16 inches. Year 4 stops at 17 inches. Year 5 stops at 19 inches. Year 6 stops at 20 inches. What about year 7? Year 7 stops at, year 7 stops at 21. Didn't we say 21 was the highest it was going to go? And then at year 8, it's still 21. Year 9 is still 21 inches. And at year 10, it's still 21 inches. The first time it was 21 inches. When did it get first? Now, where we going? So, it starts at 21 inches right here. So this lets us know this is the beginning. This was the last time it gets tall. It doesn't go up anymore, right? And what year is this? This year begins at year 7. So that lets us know that it stops growing around 7 years. So 7 years is our answer. Okay. So what age do we think do iguanas reach their full length? At about 7 years. And how long does an average iguana get? About 21 inches according to our graph. Okay. Now, with the third question up there, we're running out of time. So, give everybody a good look. Once again, this graph shows us the growth of an iguana. Now, this is part 1 of our video. There's going to be a second part in a minute. So, on part 2, we're going to go over today's assignment. Now, I know we had some issues with the last assignment. The drawing tool that I put up there wasn't working. So I'll send a message for what to do for that if you didn't get it. I sent a message to some kids, but I didn't send it to everybody. So I'll tell you what to do on Monday's assignment. And so for Wednesday, today's assignment, I'm going to change it up a little bit. So look out for part 2, and we're going to close out part 1 right now.